Take this pledge with me. Say with me, please. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward, I will strive to love my brother as I love myself.
Brian Marine interviewing Lance Perry on his experience of the Million Man March. Okay, so Lance, what year did the Million Man March occur?
Million Man March occurred in 1995 in October.
What specific date was it?
The 16th.
Okay. How old were you when the march took place?
I was 13 years old.
Okay. Who took you to the historical event?
Me and my father went to the Million Man March.
Okay. Were you aware of what was happening during the event?
At that age, I can't say that I was aware of what was going on previous to going to DC that day, but everything leading up to it, upon my arrival to the train station, I started to feel the seriousness of what that day would mean.
Like, what was going through your mind? Like, share some thoughts.
Thinking back on it, it was just a lot. I mean, it was so many people at the train station. Just usually when you think of that many people at one place crammed up, you would think of, you know, pushing or people being rude. But everybody was so peaceful and it was so together, you know, and you didn't have to know anybody. And
How did you travel to Washington? Like, how was it? Like, how'd you get there?
We traveled by train, the Amtrak train going from Baltimore to DC, and it was packed. It was just basically standing room only. But as I just said, it was nobody pushing. It was nobody worried about their own personal space. Everybody just rode in peace to DC.
How long do you think, like, on estimate, was the train ride to DC?
I would probably say maybe about an hour, a little more. From Baltimore to DC, I would imagine the train made the usual stops it would make in between.
Okay. I knew you were saying previously about the ride. Like, can you restate what you were saying about like the people, how they were acting and their behavior on the ride to the Washington D.C.?
I believe that everybody knew what that day would stand for. Everybody knew the doubt that was coming from the media as far as that it couldn't happen or it wouldn't happen in peace. So the ride was just it was older people and younger people just sharing stories and sharing experiences. So it was a very happy ride, very educational ride, just hearing different people and their different views on life.
Okay. How many people do you think, like, on average, like, attended this event? Because it was a lot.
Yeah, me being there, seeing it with my own eyes at 13, I really couldn't put a number on it, but I will say I feel like it was millions. Just from the landscape of DC, it was people stretched for blocks and blocks as far as your eye could see. It was helicopters flying above, just taking pictures of this historical day. So I would say at least 1 million. Of course, I couldn't count out to 1 million individuals, but I would say 1 million people.
Like, being as like a 13-year-old, like, how did you feel like when you seen the millions and millions of people at the march?
I was very overwhelmed, just because, like I said, it was so many people and it was so peaceful. It was just, you know, people. It was vendors was out. I mean, it wasn't just African American people. It was people of all races, just mankind coming together. So it was very overwhelming for me to be 13, maybe not from the best areas, and not seeing that many people together without something of confusion happening. And this day was totally peaceful. So it was a shocker to me.
So, like, when was the march? Like, was it like, how was it like important to the history of unity of mankind?
Well, what the march did, I believe, is it showed us as a people, and it also showed the media that if enough people get behind something positive, we can have change. I think before that day, nobody would think that somebody as such as Louis Farrakhan could put a day together where he could bring out so many people for positive reason. I mean, this day was a day where people just took off of work and took their children, men took their children out of school just so they can experience this day. So I think it had great significance on just who we are as a people today.
Being like 13 years old, did you like have a lot of background information about Mr. Louis Farrakhan?
I knew Louis Farrakhan was a Muslim. I'm not a Muslim, so I didn't know particularly a lot about him, but I did know the message that he stood for, and the unity of trying to bring all mankind together. So I wouldn't say I had a great following of him, but I did. Before that, I did know his message.
So, it's like, would you think him as of a hero to like all mankind?
Well, I believe that anybody that had a hand in that day, organizing that day, putting it together, I believe so. In my eyes, to experience, just so I can give that to my children and I can tell a story. I believe that, yeah. I mean, he would have to be somewhat of a hero, just because he was the face of this great day. So thinking back on it, he would be the person that you would think of first when you think of this day. So I do believe, looking at it like that, he would have to be a hero for putting together this event.
When Mr. Farrakhan was giving his speech, did you like understand the full message of what he was fighting for?
Yeah, we're just looking at it, and it was something that you knew that everybody respected, just because anytime any one of the speakers that day got up on a mic, it was quiet. Everybody wanted to everybody wanted to hear. Everybody wanted to hear it, feel the words. I believe Cornel West spoke that day. I believe Jesse Jackson. I'm not 100%. There was a lot of positive speakers and um, positive men who got up and just wanted to express just how much that actual day was to everybody.
Okay. Did you think that he was like some sort of a brave man to fight for what he believed in, like how Martin Luther King did?
Just in my knowledge of history, I wouldn't compare the two. Um, as far as what they've done, I can say in this for my generation, I believe that was probably the next thing to that, as far as people coming out and supporting something. It didn't matter if you believed in everything that Louis Farrakhan had to say, but you wanted to be a part of that day. Um, something more along the lines of Barack Obama becoming the president.
Yeah, I know how you were saying that it was like vendors around the streets and all. So did you collect any memorabilia from the event?
Sure. That day, I know my father brought me. We brought T-shirts just to remember the day by. Like I said, it was all kind of vendors, food vendors, T-shirts. People had signs. I mean, it was crazy. People had stuff. You know, their windows on their cars. You know what I mean? Just about the Million Man March. It was anything positive. It was nothing negative on the day. But it was a lot of people out there, and it just was. It went for blocks and blocks. It covered downtown DC.
What did you think drove Mr. Farrakhan to do what he did?
I believe it was just time. I believe that back then, it was a lot of crime, and more than likely it was a time where people needed to unite and come together, and where it made you could see somebody, not know their name, and still have common respect for that person. I think that's what that day started.
Like growing up in Baltimore, did this event impact your life today, on today's?
Sure, I think the event made me who I am now, just because I think that, just like I said, I'm not a Muslim, but I think that from that day, I now know that I can listen to anybody's opinion, no matter their race or their religion. And I think that sometimes we all have the same message, we just deliver it in a different way. And I think that day started that off in my young mind.
Okay, this brings us to a conclusion of the interview. But the last question that I have is, now as an adult, and when you see people like Barack Obama and all the other African American people, do you have some type of opinion? Do you feel as though they're doing something right with their life?
Sure, I think that everybody that's African American don't speak for a whole race, but I think that when we see things like Barack Obama be elected, I think that shows major change in a place where people of different races used to be divided. So I think that we still have work to do, but I think that in your generation, I think that it's a great thing just to see how blended people are and how open-minded the world has become.
Thanks for doing this interview.